Welcome to Klepper's Corner, where history doesn't repeat. It just gets rebooted with worse special effects and significantly more denim. Today we're diving into July 30th, a date that proves once and for all that nothing good ever happens quietly. Whether it's the launch of global sporting empires, the debut of a hip-shaking icon, or the mysterious disappearance of a labor boss with more mob ties than Tony Soprano's dry cleaner, July 30th has been busy making history weirder, louder, and on occasion diplomatically complicated. Buckle in, history nerds and Elvis impersonators, because this one's going to move faster than a Teamster in a Cadillac full of pension funds. Segment 1, the first FIFA World Cup final. Uruguay kicks off global sports obsession, 1930. On July 30th, 1930, Uruguay did what most of us only dream of. They won a heated rivalry match and got a national holiday out of it. This was the first ever FIFA World Cup final, and it ended with Uruguay beating Argentina 4-2 in front of nearly 70,000 fans and at least one stone-throwing mob in Buenos Aires. You know, it's a real football rivalry when the losing team's fans treat the Uruguayan consulate like it's a piñata filled with diplomatic immunity. This wasn't just soccer. It was a geopolitical cage match with cleats. There was even a fight over the match ball. Argentina brought their own for the first half, Uruguay for the second. FIFA stepped in like a divorced parent, saying, fine, you each get one half, but no red cards, or I'm turning the stadium around. And let's be honest, this wasn't about sports. This was about national identity. Uruguay didn't just win a game, they won the right to feel superior to Argentina for at least 4 years, which is about how long it takes to explain offsides to an American. Segment 2, the 1932 Los Angeles Olympics, Depression-era optimism with a dash of Hollywood, 1932. 2 years later, America hosted the 1932 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles because nothing says we're not broke like an international sports festival during a Great Depression. It was a PR stunt dressed up as patriotism and, spoiler alert, it worked. They cut the Olympics down to 16 days, invented the podium ceremony, and stuck male athletes in the first ever Olympic Village because nothing boosts performance like cafeteria lasagna and forced bunk beds. The women, on the other hand, got to stay in a fancy hotel because the 1930s believed equality was a boys-only sport. With 100,000 spectators in the stands and a Great Depression outside, the message was clear. America might be broke, but damn it, we're good-looking broke. These games were Hollywood's coming out party, where athletes got the star treatment and Los Angeles got to flex its muscle, and not just its glamour muscles.
Segment 3.
Elvis Presley's first live show, Shake, Rattle, and Start a Revolution, 1954. Flash forward to July 30th, 1954, and America experiences a seismic shift. Not in politics, not in economics, in pelvic motion. Elvis Presley hit the stage for his first professional gig in Memphis, Tennessee, opening for Slim Whitman and accidentally inventing rock and roll foreplay. He was nervous. He shook his leg. The girl screamed. And just like that, Elvis realized that gyrating like a malfunctioning marionette could short-circuit America's youth and terrify its parents. One performance turned him from a local boy with a guitar into a cultural explosion in pleated pants. This wasn't just the start of a music career, it was the detonation of the 1950s. Elvis became a symbol of rebellion, sex appeal, and what happens when you give a Southern boy access to radio play and a bedazzled jumpsuit budget. The Overton Park Shell didn't just host a concert and hosted the birth of a genre, a movement, and 1,000 bad impersonators with glue-on sideburns. Segment 4. In God We Trust, America Goes Divine by Design, 1956. July 30th, 1956, the U.S. decided to stop being subtle about religion and printed In God We Trust on everything short of your neighbor's lawn flamingos. Congress made it the official motto, replacing E Pluribus Unum, which is Latin for we used to have nuance. This was Cold War branding at its finest. Nothing says we're not like the godless Soviets like turning your wallet into a prayer card. It was a symbolic flex, like putting a cross on a missile or blessing your tax audit. Because if God is in your pocket, clearly your democracy is better. And while the courts have mostly upheld it, critics argue it undermines the First Amendment. But hey, what better way to show you're a free society than mandating what kind of deity you print on legal tender? Segment 5. The disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, Labor's ghost story, 1975. On July 30th, 1975, Teamsters boss Jimmy Hoffa disappeared from a Detroit suburb and reappeared in American folklore. He was last seen outside a restaurant before a scheduled mob meeting, and then poof, he's a mystery novel with a pension plan. Was it the mafia? Was it the government? Was it aliens unionizing abductees? We may never know. But what we do know is that Hawa was trying to reclaim control of a union that practically had its own zip code in the organized crime directory. They've searched fields, parking lots, even a horse farm. At this point, Hawa's remains are the most overpromised cameo in forensic history. If he ever shows up, it'll probably be during a History Channel marathon hosted by a guy with hair like a Static Charge poodle. Segment 6. Nanowatu's Independence, a Pacific breakup with two ex-colonizers. 1980. July 30, 1980, Nanowatu breaks free from dual custody, finally ending 74 years of joint British-French colonialism. That's right, Vanuatu was raised by two parents who refused to move out and argued over everything from language to legal systems. But Vanuatu pulled the ultimate teenage move. It declared independence, joined the UN, and refused to speak to either colonial parent for a week. It was a peaceful decolonization, if by peaceful you mean diplomatically awkward and bureaucratically impossible. This was decolonization's version of a divorce settlement where both parents have to sign the report card, and the kid still runs away to backpack through international forums. Segment 7, Israel's Jerusalem Law, One City, Infinite Problems, 1980. On the same day in 1980, Israel passed the Jerusalem Law, declaring the entire city its complete and united capital, East Jerusalem included. The rest of the world responded with the diplomatic equivalent of, wait, what? The UN condemned it, countries yanked their embassies, and Israel basically said, cool story, we're still doing it. It was a unilateral move that turned an already sensitive topic into a diplomatic fireball. The law hardened lines in the sand, literally. Jerusalem went from contested capital to no-touch zone in Middle East peace talks. It's like calling dibs on the last slice of pizza when 5 other people are starving. You might be holding it, but no one's happy about it. Segment 8, the Ptoria Accord, ending Africa's World War, 2002. Finally, July 30, 2002, Africa takes a major step toward peace as Rwanda and the DRC sign the Ptoria Accord. This wasn't just a truce, it was a ceasefire between two nations, a genocidal militia, several armed groups, and at least one warlord who thought machetes counted as fashion. The deal? Rwanda withdraws troops from Congo, and in exchange, the world tries to disarm the genocidal leftovers from the Rwandan Civil War. It's like quitting smoking while living in a cigarette factory. The war may not have ended overnight, but the accord showed that diplomacy, when done right and with pressure from people like Kofi Annan, can untangle even the knottiest mess. And it gave at least a glimmer of hope to a region that had endured what some call the deadliest conflict since World War II. So there you have it. July 30, a day that gave us global sports rivalries, musical revolutions, Cold War theology, labor mysteries, diplomatic landmines, and one tropical nation that finally got out of an awkward colonial throuple. It's a date that reminds us history is never just one thing. It's a mixtape, equal parts celebration, protest, mystery, and halftime show. Thanks for joining us. And remember, history doesn't just happen. It gets weird, wears a jumpsuit, and sometimes vanishes from a restaurant parking lot.